What were the promises of God about the Messiah? As the time passed, man went away from God. But God never gave up on believing on man. He saved them and brought them back to him. Find below some of the God's promises that were pronounced to people over the period, first revealing to Eve, then others about the Messiah. Promise to Eve in Genesis chapter 3, verse 15. And I will put enmity between thee and the woman, and between thy seed and her seed. It shall bruise thy head, and thou shalt bruise his heel. Promise to Abraham in Genesis chapter 22, verses 17 and 18. That in blessing I will bless thee, and in multiplying I will multiply thy seed as the stars of the heaven, and as the sand which is upon the seashore. And thy seed shall possess the gate of his enemies. And in thy seed shall all the nations of the earth be blessed, because thou hast obeyed my voice. In Matthew chapter 1, verse 1, we find its fulfillment. It says, the book of the generation of Yeshua the Messiah, that is Jesus Christ, the son of David, the son of Abraham. In Galatians chapter 3, verse 7, we find the further illustration for its fulfillment. It says, know ye therefore that they which are of faith, the same are the children of Abraham. And in Galatians chapter 3, verse 29, it says, and if ye be Messiah's Christs, then are ye Abraham's seed, and heirs according to the promise. Prophesied by Moses in Deuteronomy chapter 18, verse 15, the Lord thy God will raise up unto thee a prophet from the midst of thee, of thy brethren, like unto me. Unto him ye shall hearken. In John chapter 1, verses 19 to 23, people asked about the promised prophet. John the Baptist began to preach. He was asked, are you the prophet? People show this prophet in Yeshua, Jesus. In John chapter 6, verse 14, they said, then those men, when they had seen the miracle that Yeshua, that is Jesus, did, said, this is of a truth that prophet that should come into the world. Moreover, in John chapter 7, verse 40, we read, many of the people, therefore, when they heard this saying, said, of a truth, this is the prophet. The evidence of its fulfillment we find in John chapter 5, verse 46, where Yeshua, that is Jesus, says, for had ye believed Moses, ye would have believed me, for he wrote of me. Psalms chapter 72, verse 11 says, yea, all kings shall fall down before him, all nations shall serve him. Prophesied by Isaiah in Isaiah chapter 7, verse 14, chapter 9, verses 6 and 7, chapter 49, verse 6 to 8. In Isaiah chapter 7, verse 14, it says, therefore the Lord himself shall give you a sign. Behold, a virgin shall conceive, and bear a son, and shall call his name Emmanuel. In Isaiah chapter 9, verses 6 and 7, we read, for unto us a child is born, unto us a son is given, and the government shall be upon his shoulder, and his name shall be called Wonderful, Counselor, the Mighty God, the Everlasting Father, the Prince of Peace. Of the increase of his government and peace there shall be no end upon the throne of David and upon his kingdom, to order it, and to establish it with judgment and with justice from henceforth even forever. The zeal of the Lord of hosts will perform this. In Isaiah chapter 49, verse 6 to 8 we read, and he said, it is a light thing that thou shouldest be my servant to raise up the tribes of Jacob, and to restore the preserved of Israel. I will also give thee for a light to the Gentiles, that thou mayest be my salvation unto the end of the earth. Thus saith the Lord, the Redeemer of Israel, and his Holy One, to him whom man despiseth, to him whom the nation abhorreth, to a servant of rulers, kings shall see and arise, princes also shall worship, because of the Lord that is faithful, and the Holy One of Israel, and he shall choose thee. Thus saith the Lord, in an acceptable time have I heard thee, and in a day of salvation have I helped thee, and I will preserve thee, and give thee for a covenant of the people, to establish the earth, to cause to inherit the desolate heritages. Prophesied by Jeremiah in Jeremiah chapter 23, verses 5 and 6. Behold, the days come, saith the Lord, that I will raise unto David a righteous branch, and a king shall reign and prosper, and shall execute judgment and justice in the earth. In his days Judah shall be saved, and Israel shall dwell safely. And this is his name whereby he shall be called, the Lord our righteousness. Prophesied by Daniel in Daniel chapter 7, verses 13 and 14. I saw in the night visions, and behold, one like the Son of Man came with the clouds of heaven, and came to the Ancient of Days, and they brought him near before him. And there was given him dominion, and glory, and a kingdom, that all people, nations, and languages should serve him. His dominion is an everlasting dominion, which shall not pass away, and his kingdom that which shall not be destroyed. Therefore the promised Messiah will be the Savior, the King of kings and the Lord of lords.